Welcome to the Get Smart with Money podcast. I'm your host, Dana Hernandez, financial planner and author of Get Smart with Money, Break Free from the Struggle, Build Wealth on Your Terms, and Rewrite Your Money Story. Here we talk about money, entrepreneurship, growth, and resilience, because financial freedom is about more than just numbers. Each week, you'll get practical strategies, inspiring stories, and the motivation you need to stress less about money and create more freedom in your life. Let's get smart with money together. Welcome back to the Get Smart with Money podcast. Today I'm joined by Jay Sapovits, president of Inked Stores, serial entrepreneur, and someone with an incredible story of resilience. From overcoming gambling addiction to helping build one of the most successful private aviation companies in the world, Jay has learned firsthand that success isn't just about money. It is about the choices you make and the lessons you learn along the way. Thank you and welcome to the show, Jay.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks, Dana. I appreciate it. I was just thinking when you said that, I wish I didn't have to hit every rung on the ladder while I was coming back down. Um, but I certainly did. It made stepping back over them to get to where I'm at today a lot more sweeter, I can tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. The harder road, the better rewards you feel and everything afterwards. So,
That's what they say. I mean, I'm not sure what the other road was because that was the road that I took, right? So
right.
I try to walk in other people's shoes, but it's really difficult to do so. So I walked in mine, and I can tell you it was, quite a journey.
Yes, it does sound like it. So, can you tell us a little bit about that journey and what also led you first into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer the second question first, just because it's the easiest. What led me to entrepreneurship was necessity. I was 24 years old. I had just left the dream job of my life, which was being a talk show host in Philadelphia on the number one station for male sports talk and guy talk,
Wow.
um, at a very young age. And I left that job because I was in treatment and recovering from a compulsive gambling addiction. So I took a recovery job. If you know anything about recovery jobs are, typically mindless, hourly work that you can sort of check in and check out from and uh, eat and erode a lot of time, right? Because if you're taking a lot of time, you're not, working, you're not doing nefarious activities. And I was sitting in a cart shack working outside services at a golf course with 17, 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids. Um, when I was on track to become this mega superstar of the media. I mean, this is pre-ESPN basically, or ESPN had just launched. I was definitely on that track to get a lot of attention. So just had an idea that came to me based on being a tipped worker at the golf course, pitched it to the owner of the club. They gave me a promotion into sales after my mind cleared after about 5 months, 4 months in that role. And then, from that point, had another idea, pitched it to the owner because I had had success with the initial idea. And, you know, off I went. And that's how my entrepreneurial journey started. So it wasn't something I consciously went into. I didn't set out to say like, oh, I'm gonna own my own business someday. I didn't have any idea about owning my business. My dad was a school teacher. My mom was a bookkeeper. Like I didn't even know what that meant to own your own business. People around me were, um, hey guys. So I, I love dogs. I'm a dog owner. I had two beagles. One of them just passed, but I have a beagle.
Oh,
Yeah, she was great. But,
oh.
um, yeah, so I just didn't know anything about it. And I really kind of made my life by just taking action. So that's how I got into that's how I got into entrepreneurship. And as far as my journey, I mean, my journey was fueled by um, chasing action. Uh, I at 18 went, well, at 16 for the first time, I went out to Las Vegas to visit the college.
Hmm.
You told me you're from Reno. So
Hmm.
I don't know how old you are, but McCarran didn't used to be the monstrosity that it is today. you used to drive out of McCarran and you'd basically be at the Thomas and Mack Center, meaning on the campus of UNLV, right? On to Tropicana. And the school was right there. At 16 years old, I went out there with a buddy. We stayed at his brother's, who was going to UNLV at the time, which is how I got introduced to the school. I fell in love with the city immediately. I spent 10 days in Las Vegas. Of the 10 days I spent in Vegas, I never set foot on the campus once. Came home and told my parents it was the only place for me and that I couldn't wait to go to college there. So, action and the pursuit of it is what has always shaped and fueled my journey. And that was and remained true after I got into recovery because I started to chase the action of being an entrepreneur, and bigger and better startups from the one that I had created. So, if I had to use one word to define my journey in my life, I'd say action's probably that word.
Hmm. It seems so. I worked on a golf course, just to try and be around just entrepreneurial minded people and just people who had more going for themselves. Obviously, they all lived up there too. And I worked in the clubhouse as a waitress and bartender up there. And it was just a different environment to be around. It was really kind of nice. Some of the people, of course, they kind of let all that money go to their head, but other ones were really nice and really cool. And I met some really cool people. I still kind of see them around town sometimes. And my whole thing about working there was obviously to be around them, but also try and learn things from them. I'm
Mhm.
also in financial services, so it would have been awesome to have one of them as a client and a friend, but that didn't happen, at least not yet, because sometimes, like I said, I still see some people. So, but it's just that environment kind of makes you start kind of thinking about things outside of what you're normally thinking about. So I kind of understand where you're like, hey, I came up with this idea when I was working on the golf course because you're around all that and you had the perfect people to pitch it to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was out. Look, being outside helped, but I think the biggest thing for me more was just clearing my head through, from addiction.
Hmm.
And that to me, I mean, it was all that occupied my mind. So when that left my mind was free and clear. And when my mind cleared up, other thoughts could come in. And then, the thought came in, well, geez, maybe I should figure out a way to make money and not the common attribute amongst most successful people that I have found is they take the long view, and the common attribute in gambling is you take a short view. So
Hmm.
I really changed my perspective from taking a really short view, right, which is, I'm going to hit this race and then I'm going to have money in my pocket, to I'm going to work really hard over the next 5 years and build something. So it's just a 180 as far as thinking goes. And for me, that was the biggest change.
Hmm. Okay. Um, So what were you exactly gambling on? You said races, what, horse races and
I, yeah.
or literally whatever.
What color are your eyes? I mean, I was an addict. So, the only thing I wasn't really interested in much was slot machines in Vegas, but everything else was sort of in play. Yeah.
Hmm.
It,
Okay.
again, what I played and how much I played was irrelevant. It just was the constant need to always be involved in one way or another of um, being in action. And that's what,
Hmm.
you know, needed to change in my life and did. I mean, at a very young age. I mean, I was 24 years old. Um,
And you recognized on your own that this needed to change?
yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody else in my world recognized it, and then I recognized it. I wouldn't say that was some epiphany.
Okay. So how has your recovery influenced the way that you think about money and financial decisions today?
Uh, I look, I mean, I was 13 to 24 when I really was in the heat of my action. So those are formidable years as it relates to learning and understanding about money. I can tell you that, I've never carried a debit card. in my adult life since I've been 24 years old. I've never carried an ATM. I've never used an ATM. From 24 years old, almost 30 years, I've never used an ATM. But yeah, I think I have a really healthy relationship with money now. I don't fear it. Um, but for many, many years after my recovery, I mean, I never carried any cash or
Mm-hmm.
credit cards or anything. I just sort of, I had $20 in my pocket, and that's what I had, and that's what I had. But yeah, I mean, I think I have a healthy relationship with money now, and I think, yeah, again, I'll just go back to taking the long view versus taking a short view. There are no get rich quick schemes. Um, that the story of the 19-year-old that's got $100 million exit is one in a billion. Like, it's just not, we see it so much on social media now, and we think that that's the prevalent story, and it's not. That's the anomaly. So I just take a very long view to money and long view to life, and that's how I manage it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where do you think that you got that habit from? Where do you think that maybe in your life, maybe growing up, something happened, or like how did this gambling addiction start?
I mean, my dad was a horse player. He used to take me to the racetrack. I don't blame him for it. It's not a subject I analyze or think about very much. Kind of
Okay.
was. So I just kind of, it's who I was. It's not who I am. And I don't really spend too much time analyzing why, or I'm not looking to put blame on anybody else and potentially go down a path that's, especially with my dad passed, and, that's I know my parents did the best job that they possibly could. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm living my dream, which is doing a better job than I think they did with mine. And what I would hope is that mine want to do a better job than even I did with theirs. And, to me, that's the legacy that we put forth. And, if you could
Mm-hmm.
ask me what my one dream is, and that it wouldn't be anything to do with me, it would be to do with my three kids. So that's kind of where I put that in that bucket.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, there's kind of no point in like dwelling and what could have been different. Why do I do this? Like, it doesn't really help anything. So I like the fact that you've kind of closed that part of your life and just kind of moved on. Because a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I'm sure. I see it every day when I'm in, and I tell people I walk into more men's halfway houses, detoxes, prisons, and homeless shelters in a week than most people walk into in their life. So, you know, look, there's people who are out there that are suffering and that are in, super challenging situations. And I think generally they'll think to themselves, if I could just get X, Y, or Z, everything in my life would be perfect. Well, there's been times I've had X, Y, and Z, and I haven't felt like my life's been perfect. So it's never something you get. It's always something you feel inside. Happiness is an inside job. And
Hmm.
most of the time that if you place targets on your success, you'll be selling yourself short. So I try to just not be judgmental towards what would make me happy or what goals I want to achieve. I mean, obviously I have goals in a business, but my goals aren't if I get to this, I'll be happy. My goals are if I get to this, there's, tangible things that can happen to not only me, but the people around me, which is important, and have worked really hard to get to these goals and have put their faith and trust and belief in me as a business owner. And that's really what I'm striving for more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, sounds great. So you helped build Marquis Jet. That's how you say it?
Yeah. Yep.
Marquis
Yeah.
Jet into, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We went from
So
zero to
it's,
$1 billion in 4.5 years in sales.
oh, wow.
And I was on that initial founding team, top, I don't even know what the number was, 11 or 12 employees, something early. Um, but got the chance to work with two great visionaries, Ken Dichter, Jesse Itzler, who were amazing business builders and continue to be to this day in their various entities. So yeah, it was something special to watch and be part of.
Please like, review, share, and subscribe to this podcast and follow us on Instagram at Get Smart W Money Podcast, as well as checking out our website at GetSmartWithMoneyPodcast.com.